going to make Creole okra stew. Starting off with water sauteing my vegetables and onions. I've got a variety of different bell peppers in there and some onions and about 2 cups of water. This is a really big pot, huge pot. I can stretch my arm across here. So this is where I put up a whole bunch of stuff in my freezer. So in addition to the seasoning vegetables, I have 3 pounds of okra. This is what really gives the stew its flavor and substance. I have 2 pounds of this California blend, which I absolutely love. It has all kinds of vegetables in there. Half a pound of corn, about a medium-sized head of cabbage, and I'm only going to take about 4 of these leaves of the kale, not all of this kale, but I will use kale in the soup as well, and this is what I'm going to season it with. I'm going to use a lot of this because I'm completely out of garlic. Usually I'll have a whole lot of fresh organic garlic in there, but I have none with me, so I'll probably use a good 2, maybe 2.5 tablespoons of this garlic granules. Of course, some cayenne pepper. I don't have any more fresh, so I'll use probably a whole teaspoon of this. Some Tony Chachere's with the extra seasoning, which has a little bit less sodium in it. Of course, better than bouillon. With a pot this size, I'm going to use about a half a jar. About a half a jar of this better than bouillon. That's the only thing that has salt in it that I'll use. The Tony Chachere's has a little, but I don't use very much of that. And then of course a 1/4 of a cup of my hot sauce. That it's what helps with that Creole flavor. I'll put probably a teaspoon of my Benson's in there. I like this flavor, especially with my soups. And then to further the taste, that Creole taste, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of thyme and a teaspoon of sage. After the seasoning vegetables have sauteed for a while in water, and actually it's broth because of course the better than bouillon has already dissolved, I add in my kale. I de-stemmed and chopped them. So I'm going to move the kale around in there in order to get all those good flavors on my greens. And then the next step is to add the cabbage. Alright, now I add in my cabbage. And I'm about to stir that around. Now keep in mind, I don't have to season anything else. All of my seasoning goes in with my seasoning vegetables and my 2 cups of water. So as I add in the layers, they will get their seasoning. After the cabbage smothers down just a little bit, maybe about 10 minutes, then I add in 2 pounds of okra. And I have frozen okra, which works just fine. I'm going to let this smother. After I stir it around, I'm going to let this smother for about maybe 25 minutes. This is going to be a longer process. We want the okra to get all in the flavorings and the juices and begin to form its own little liquid. And so I'm going to put the top on it, stir it periodically, and I'll be back. This is what it looks like just before I put the top on it for it to smother. I have not added any extra liquid. I won't do that until I'm ready to put the last of the vegetables in. I just added the equivalent of about 8 bay leaves. I forgot about that at the beginning. Bay leaves are very important in any kind of Creole stew or soup. Here is what we have so far. I turned the fire up. I added about 2 cups of water and then brought it back to a boil, and now I'm going to add in the rest of the vegetables. Alright, now I just added 2 pounds of the California blend of frozen broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, and a half of a pound of corn. I'm going to add in 4 more cups of water, bring it to a boil, turn down the fire, put the lid on it, and let that simmer for about another half hour. This is the way everything looks mixed together. I almost forgot my potatoes. Thank goodness I made some Instant Pot potatoes. So I cut up 4 great big ones and put them in there. And now I'm about to go to the next step. I take about 3 cups of my stew mixture and put it in my NutriBullet RX. And this is what gives my stew a little thickness. This won't take but a second. And that is it. Now I'm going to pour this back into the stew. And now I'm going to pour this mixture back into my stew. And that is what gives my stew its thickness. So I don't use any type of flour or anything to thicken my stew. I actually use the stew itself. So stir that around really, really well. I may end up adding about 2 more cups of water. Let this simmer for about another half hour and then it will be finished. Okay, it is finished. Creole okra stew. Very easy and very tasty.